Welcome everybody back to Hill to Build. I hope you guys enjoyed those cinematics. Before we start going over the build, I want to give a huge shout out to everybody who subscribed and liked my videos and watched. I super appreciate you guys. And if you have not hit that subscribe button or like button, please smash it down below. You are definitely helping the channel, helping me reinvest back into the channel, and helping me know that you guys appreciate this content. So this build did not go exactly how I intended it to. I started on it, I had the base ready, and then I basically put it aside and came back to it and reimagined it, and you're gonna see that in a second. And here I'm just I got too impatient, and so I started heat cutting the PVA. I knew that I pushed it too far, and I figured just include this clip because it's kind of cool to see what happens when you push the PVA too far when you're trying to dry it too quick. It basically just peels off, so you got to give it time. So I had to peel that off and start over, but thought it'd be cool to see. Don't try to dry your PVA too quick. This is the base I had after I left it. Basically, I didn't include showing what I put on it there, the rocks and leaves. I put them on there, but again, I kind of end up covering it up anyway, so I didn't include that. I end up cutting the back off here, end up putting foam core board on the back as a backer, because again, as you saw in the thumbnail, we're gonna have mountains, and so originally it was gonna be a flat. I decided no, it's kind of lame. Most of the stuff in this video is generally self-explanatory. I'm gonna go over obviously certain things that I think the general viewer might not understand, but to most people who are into dioramas or making terrain or anything, you're gonna kind of understand what's going on. Here I had leftover styrofoam. I tried to make it work and piece together rocks. This was a really dumb idea. You can make rock formations a lot of different ways. This was probably way harder than it needed to be. Don't do it this way. Hopefully we'll do it other ways in the future. I basically took construction adhesive and took these rocks that are out of a Woodland Scenics mold. You can use 20 compound or any really compound to moldy rocks. I just took them, broke them up, and used construction adhesive to glue them on, but it was just so awkward. Don't do it this way. And then I filled the seams with more 20 compound. And then it was onto the dirt, filling the top of the cliff up. All the dirt you're gonna see in almost all my videos so far is just PVA mixed with dirt from outside, and I have a little short on how to get that dirt. You can get it from your backyard, so it's free. And that's basically all my dirt concoction. So if you see me put dirt down, it's PVA mixed with dirt and some water. Basically covering up everything, and that's why I didn't go over what I did. I put some flocking on the top of those mountains there. I also put some moss that you get from the dollar store up there. I actually blended it up so it's a lot finer, as you saw there. I just put that at the top. I took rocks. Again, you can see this in the little short I did. These rocks are what you get after you sieve your dirt. Always keep that, because that's what I'm using here. I just put it at the base of the mountains. Then I use put a little PVA and mixed it in with the rocks, and I just slapped on the side to make more of a ravine. Ended up spraying all that with PVA and water to lock it in. I wanted the rocks to look really dark. Using basic acrylics here, nothing crazy. Again, dollar store paints. I'm just going over all the rocks. I know what you might be thinking. These rocks already look realistic, and yes, of course, they're real rocks, but with the way I was coloring the rocks, I did not really like the way they looked. I think if I went for more of a yellow tone on the cliff face, it would make sense to have those yellow rocks sitting at the bottom, but because I didn't, I decided to make them gray and paint them. So maybe on a different project. Here, I'm highlighting all the rock faces. Generally, you want to do this from top down where the light's going to hit. And I'm just taking some other grays, random grays, and hitting the other topmost sections. Gave it a wash. And some leaves. These are leaves from outside. I am painting these leaves because they're not colored anymore. They're muted colors. So I got to brighten them up. Any reds, oranges, or yellows you got. I'm taking twigs from outside. I am hot gluing them onto the base, And these trees, I'm not going to go over them in depth. I can do that maybe in another video, but they were an absolute gong show. Long story short, they're basically twigs with coconut fiber balled up and then flocking put on. You're going to see me a couple more times in the video hit them with glue, and then I hit them with flocking again to really fill them out. I'm just taking DAS clay. It's really cheap. Get it on Amazon. Making some roots for these guys. And back to the tinker, the main man. So, as you saw there, the tinker has an inventory. We have to really build a story around this guy. Like I said before, if we can get 1,000 subscribers, that would be amazing. I think at that point we'll have enough support that we can open a Patreon potentially, and then get polls going and figure out where he's going to go to next, or even figure out what his new cat's name is. Because as you can tell, if you watched the last video, there was a cat in it, and the tinker picked up a friend. So the cat has become the tinker's companion for this journey. Could the tinker do anything about it? No, the cat just hopped on his cart and he would not go away. And so now the tinker is his owner. He also has his wedding band, which he holds dear to him, but we don't know much about his backstory. But he does have that wedding band and he does hold it dear. So that is valuable. That's part of his inventory. He has his cloak. A tinker's cloak is always valuable. That's part of his inventory. And he has gold coins, 41 gold coins. That works out to about $6,000 Canadian, probably about $200 USD. Not actually, but you get the joke, I think. And a dagger, because you never know who you're going to run into on the road. So that's what he's got. He's going to be adding things to his inventory each journey and maybe losing things. Who knows? So we'll see what happens with the tinker. Back to the build. You'll see here I want to put leaves on. So originally I did not want to have to use a blender, or that was a little coffee grinder. I didn't want to have to use that, but I ended up having to because the chunks were too big. I had to remove these leaves, this ground cover, and blend up some more leaves. And I actually punched leaves too. And these were to add more color. They actually look like actual leaves. I mean, leaves all the time are broken up anyways, but these just look like leaves. When you look at them, they look visually better. Leaves end up everywhere, so I had to put them in the ravine there. I have to paint the tinker up too, paint up his card again. I had to cross-reference the last tinker diorama so that I didn't get anything wrong. Match the color scheme. Here, packing tape and foam core board as my dam for the epoxy. And this is not epoxy, this is nail polish. I put some strong tone army painter wash in it, and it ended up looking like hair. My original plan was to use nail polish, but that did not work. I think the things that I mess up, those would be awesome to discuss and talk about and post on Patreon. Get some more behind the scenes footage, because there's so much in this build. This video is only 12 minutes, but this video could easily be an hour. Putting the epoxy in here and using the dark tone to color it. Side note, use gloves for this. It wasn't until I was basically done that I realized, hey, I should have used gloves. So use gloves when using epoxy. Here you'll notice that the epoxy turned a little green. Why that is, I don't know, because I've used it with everything in this build before, minus the leaves. So I don't know if it was the leaves that somehow had an effect. I know it couldn't have been the acrylic or the wash, because I've used that before and it didn't discolor it. So I'm not sure if you have any idea. Other than the leaves, that's the only thing I can think of. Let me know down in the comments. When I was done with that epoxy, it is time for the waterfall. And notice I also took that epoxy and I just brushed it on the back to make it look watery. I'm gluing this little aluminum. It's aluminum wire. I got this at Dollarama actually too. That's going to be the structure. I'm painting it white. And I'm taking that stuffing. This is the same stuffing that I used on the mech build for the explosion. If you haven't seen that, you can check that out in the top right corner. I'm just going to take this and put it on the structure, super glue it on. I'm going to take some water effect. You should be able to use any water effect for this and squeeze it on. I learned this waterfall method from Luke Town. I'll link him down in the description. He's a big guy for dioramas. Again, he doesn't really need my shout out, but I did learn this from him, so all credit goes to him. I'll link him down there. Taking some snowflake flocking and blowing it onto the waterfall so it sticks, and that really gives it a nice effect. This is AK Waterfoam. Honestly, I wasn't too thrilled with this product. I think you can mimic it with glue or, again, the water texture mixed with the flocking. But I kind of put it where it looked like there'd be rapids or white water. Then I'm getting all my tufts and foliage and all this stuff. This was, you don't have to go out of your way to really buy things. Your collection will build over time. This is kind of just a little collection I built over time and stuff from Dollarama. So this flocking that I'm using that I mix with PVA just to act as moss, I've had this for a long time. It lasts forever. These mushrooms I got for $2. Then I'm just putting them where mushrooms grow. Again, these tufts, $10, but again, you collect kind of different tufts over the years as you're into dioramas or wargaming. And then the bridge. This is just balsa wood. I didn't want this bridge to look very well built. I want it to look a little shoddy. Nothing crazy. Look like people take this path that the tinker's taking, but not like one that's just outside of a town that's stone or anything. So built a little balsa wood bridge, shading it with strong tone army painter, taking that green that's in the first tinker video, this streaking grime effect by AK. I'm kind of putting that everywhere. I put on the bridge, I put on the stone. I'm washing the dirt now with strong tone army painter. And I'm finally covering up the sides with this polystyrene sheet. I'm going to coat that black, and the last thing to do is place the tinker in the final results. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that like and subscribe, and we will see you in chapter 3.